He has been Sting's guitar player and right-hand man for more than 30 years, and the Argentinian-born guitarist Dominic Miller has also released a number of CDs on his own.
If you want to be an international artist, you've got to travel. You can't just do it from home.
Dominic sat down with me before a Sting concert to talk about the impact of the pandemic, writing songs with Sting, drummers he's played with, and he talks about some of his new music, among other things. Dominic Miller, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
You too, mate.
So you're back out on the road after the pandemic. What did you do to keep yourself busy during the pandemic?
Well, I got to know my family and my dogs. You know, it's one of those things. It's a lot of musicians I've spoken to, that was their experience, is really just reconnecting with their family. It was almost like a gift, a blessing in disguise, the whole pandemic thing, because I really had a chance to get to know my kids and my wife and to see what we have. Who are we to each other?
Yeah. Rufus is now in the band.
Yeah.
Did he start before the pandemic or after?
Oh, way before, yeah.
Way before?
Yeah.
That must be pretty cool for you to look across the stage and see your son playing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, he's a great musician, great guitarist. He's been playing all his life. And, you know, to be honest with you, when I'm on stage, I'm not very sentimental about it. I don't think of it as him being my son, you know. I'm working with another musician who's very competent and really good. I don't care if it's my son or my mother or my next door neighbor or accomplished famous guitarist. It's the whole point is to be connected to the music.
Yeah.
But the time I feel most connected with him, I suppose, where I allow myself to get sentimental is when we're traveling or when we go out for a coffee or for a drink or a meal or something. Then I think, wow, that's so cool. I'm hanging out with my son on the road.
Yeah.
You know?
That is cool. You said about your CD Fifth House that you brought in players like Vinnie and Jimmy Johnson that would feature their talent. With Ad Hoc, your CD, it was more of a conceptual CD. How would you describe the last two CDs, Silent Light and Absinthe, since you moved to ECM?
Well, I mean, that was a big shift, moving to a label like that, because that was the first time I handed over the production reins elsewhere. So I'm going into a whole kind of aesthetic, musical aesthetic, which is ECM, and having a producer. Because making albums on your own, and if you produce yourself, it's kind of comparable to doing a selfie. You know what I mean? So you catch yourself at all the angles that you want, that you think represent who you are, but that's not necessarily the best depiction of who you are. That's why I wanted to go to a house, an establishment that has a concept. Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to put myself in that situation. And they right around the time that they came to me, they came to us. And so it was perfect timing, just around the time that I wanted to do something like that. So it's just a very different way of producing music.
Sounds like you put a lot of thought into your compositions. How do you write music? Hotel rooms sometimes?
Not so much. I don't think that's the right environment to write music. Actually, I wrote a lot of music at home. I prefer writing music in the confines of my people, my family. So when I'm off the road, I tend to do most of my writing, except Ad Hoc. Funnily enough, I did write on the road. Music is it's just a combination of many things. It's like luck, hard work, music theory, and it's composition. It's literally that, and it's arrangement and form. And you know, really the way it happens for me is I just get a little moment of inspiration, and then it's my obligation as a guitarist and a composer to kind of take that to its conclusion. And that takes a lot of work. And sometimes I might go around all the houses and end up with a very simple motif. But I like doing the work. That's what composition is.
You speak often about the classical composer Bach.
Yeah.
What has his music meant to you?
Well, I think if you speak to a lot of musicians, they all say the same thing. Everyone goes to Bach. I mean, Jaco Pastorius, you know, Pat Metheny, everyone talks about Bach. There's something about his harmony. A lot of his melodies, let's say, are single line melodies. That's why horn players love playing Bach, that tell the whole harmonic story. So that they're not chords. So you can say a lot with just a melody.
Yeah.
And then if you add two parts, then I just think he's the most sublime composer in modern times, meaning, you know, since the old days. I mean, he was the first real chromatic composer, and that's why musicians love Bach, and it's especially good for practice, for practicing your instrument, whatever it may be.
Yeah. What do you do for fun when you're off the road, or maybe even a couple of days off?
Well, I mean, I hang out with my family, take the dogs for a walk, you know, what everybody does.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a chess enthusiast.
Oh,
It's very
nice.
boring,
Yeah.
but that's what I do. And I even play while I'm on the road. I just play online. I play different opponents around the world. But I like hanging out with friends and just doing what everybody else likes to do.
Yeah. You seem to have a really cool bond with Manu.
Yeah.
And you played with some great drummers, Vinnie Collier, Manu. In your opinion, what does it take to be a good drummer, or what do you look for in a drummer?
That's a very big question. I mean, I could go on for hours with this. A drummer is, what do I look for? Somebody who's like a consummate musician, like Vinnie and like Manu. They listen to the song, they listen to the narrative, they become part of the narrative. They're not just playing beats, they're complementing the song. And it's a lot of course, it has to do with rhythm and feel, but if you're a top tier player, that should be a given.
Yeah.
It's really arrangement. That's why Abe Laboriel is such a great drummer, is because he really plays the arrangement. He feels the different sections of a song, and he moves from one section seamlessly to the other, as Manu does. Yeah. And Manu's genius is he always dancing around the meter. He's never on the meter, like a great jazz singer or a blues singer would do, you know, just bending the notes. And that's what Manu does with the rhythm. He's teasing the meter. And Vinnie, well, Vinnie is probably pound for pound of the most astonishing drummer I think that's ever lived.
Yeah.
Because nobody's more precise.
Yeah.
It's like standing next to him on a show is like standing next to a Maserati that's just raring to go. It's just very, very sophisticated experience. Like all these great players, like Keith Carlock as well. He's another one, a monster of feel and groove, as we've seen with Steely Dan.
Back to guitar players, you mentioned Jimi Hendrix was a big early influence for you. What was it about Hendrix that made him such a great player?
When I was very young, when I got into Hendrix, I was probably like 10 or 11, 12 kind of thing. There's something supernatural about his musicianship, about the way he phrased and the way he mixed the blues and rock. There was just something supernatural about it, like almost unbelievable.
You think his music still holds up today?
I absolutely do, yeah. Absolutely.
Being left-handed, do anything?
I don't. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible,
Yeah.
but I don't think so. I don't think that's got anything to do with it, no.
I've seen you perform with Tellys, Les Pauls, some beautiful acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
What is your first love?
I think a nylon string, gut string guitar. I mean, that's not what this is, but I don't have my favorite one here with me, because on the Sting tour, I'm mostly playing electric.
Yeah.
But my go-to is a nylon acoustic, because with that guitar, I can tell a story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like an electric guitar for me is an accompaniment instrument. Unlike Jeff Beck or John McLaughlin or some of the greats, you know, Satriani and Steve Vai, these guys are great virtuosos on an electric, and they can tell a story, an instrumental story on an electric. That's not what I do. But for me, electric is more to do with accompanying a song.
Yeah.
But acoustic, or either steel string or acoustic, or particularly nylon, is where I feel most at home, and I can tell a real story. It was Segovia, you know Segovia,
Yeah.
who said that a guitar is like a small orchestra. I totally identify with that.
Yeah.
Because you got bass, you got rhythm, you got melody, and joy. And what I love about an acoustic guitar is that it's the original traveler's instrument. You put it in the back of the car or on your horse,
Yeah.
wherever,
Yeah.
on your bike,
Yeah.
carry it on your back, and you go from town to town telling stories, you know. Can't
That's-
do that with a piano, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, while we're talking about it,
Yeah.
why don't you play a little
Because
snippet
you were
for
asking
us?
about songs that I may have written with Sting. Well, one of the ones that we're most known for is "Shape of My Heart," which.
Love it. That's
And
awesome.
we've done a few other songs together as well, and it's great to write with, because that original idea was just a little guitar motif. I didn't think anything of it, but it's a great example of songwriting collaboration
Yeah.
when someone else can say that's a song, and
Yeah.
that was a total collaboration.
He heard
and he
it
just
and
heard it
said,
as a
"Oh,
song.
Wait, do that again.
Yeah, and then we kind of structured it, and then it became a song.
That's awesome. You write primarily instrumentals. What do you hope the listener gets from your compositions?
Well, what I'd like to do, the way I'm glad you asked that, because I've been thinking about that too. I was wondering, what do they get out of it? And the way I like to approach it now, as I'm older or more mature as a musician, is I like to kind of create quite a lot of space in the compositions, so that I'm sort of collaborating with the listener. I want the listener to feel that they're collaborating with me. So to not telegraph all the ideas and all the melodies and all the harmonies and rhythms. It's just to leave enough space for them to fill in those gaps. That's what it's sort of like an interactive experience is what I'm looking for with the listener. So to give them respect and not sort of listen to me, listen to my guys, we're gonna freak you out and blow you away. That's not what I want to do. I don't want to blow anyone away. I just want to do something simple that gives you the chance to sort of go, you know what, maybe this melody would fit here. And I say, go for it, mate.
Yeah. And it can mean different things to different people.
Exactly.
Do you have anything coming up that you'd like to mention?
Well, yeah, actually, I mean, I recorded a third album for ECM,
Nice.
but ECM is a very traditional old German label. And a year ago, I mean, basically I recorded the album 18 months ago, and it's coming out in April. So it'll almost be 2 years since I recorded it that it comes out, but that's normal for ECM.
Yeah.
And you just got to, it's like treacle,
Yeah.
you know, it's just so slow, and it's quite frustrating for me. I've done many tours, I've already written a whole album's worth of stuff, you know, to do another one,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I've
Did
got
ex-
an album coming out in April, and I'm going to do some promo for it around this tour, so I'm going to be extremely busy, because I'm kind of playing catch up for the COVID, 18 months of nothing,
Yeah.
except some sessions and some studio stuff.
Right.
You know, if there was any work to be done, I did it.
Yeah.
Whatever was possible. I was the one going on planes. There weren't many people doing it. But, you know, what have I got coming up? Yeah, first of all, we're catching up with this tour, all the shows that we didn't do in 2020 and early 21. And I've got an album that's you know, on the shelf ready to be released. So we're going to do that. And then I've got to do promo for that and some shows. So I'm here for the long haul.
Do one more little ditty for us.
Well, this is something from the Absinthe album.
absolutely beautiful, man. Well, this has been a great pleasure. I appreciate you doing this. I know
thank you very
I know
much.
the road is hectic and.
It's fine. It's good to meet you, and it's nice to be in Bangor, the home of Stephen King.
That's right.
I mean, who knew? Well, a lot of people, obviously, except me.
For more information about news, tours, merchandise, or his new music on ECM, you may visit DominicMiller.com. Bob Evans for Drumheads and Tales.